inner liner can be of some other material, outer strength can be of jute.
একবার
So
দেখো তো পেজটা তো
this
এবার
20% can go
একবার
even
দেখো তো
higher. We can take it into salt also. We can put it to so many other usage. So the market has to expand. Market will
আচ্ছা
expand once we allow the usage in diverse fields. Like
আমাদের পেজটা
you
একবার দেখো
see,
এক মিনিট আমি অনেক
we have adopted a Western style of packaging. We do the packaging in poly bags. Then we do the packaging
এসছে তো
in
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
non-woven sacks, whatever it is. And first we
আরে আমি
spend
অনেকক্ষণ যাবত
money on
ঘাটাঘাটি করছি
creating
বুঝলে
those
3টের সময় তুমি বললে যখন
things,
তখন থেকে আমি বসছি
and
এটা
then
নিয়ে
we
বুঝলে
spend money because they are not biodegradable. I am told that even a simple plastic bottle takes about 500 years to degrade.
হ্যাঁ
Now, this concept of jute, it starts from zero.
ঠিক আছে
It's a biodegradable product, ends with zero. The total life cycle cost is nothing for the, I mean, complete the life of the gunny bag. So, our idea is to convert as many things as possible in the jute sector so that eventually recycling cost is none. Then center should spend money on the technical upgradation of the processing technology. Then we should spend money on the fashion designing because it is a core area. Initially, there has to be only expenditure without any tangible results. So, for couple of months or couple of years, there has to be investment before it becomes a brand. Jute becomes a brand, maybe in some other name, in conjunction with nylon or cotton. So today is a day when we are churning for jute industry, and I am sure a process would certainly set in when we can reasonably think in next 2 years time jute will have definitely new frontiers opening as market, because market is a big issue and we have stiff competition from other sources. So we can open the market, we can do our churning on this front, and we have senior people like Chakraborthy Saab, Mr. Basu, Soumen Purkayasthha dwelling on these points. They are much senior to me, and hopefully we shall come up with something which enlightens our listeners, viewers, and jute industry. Thank you very much for being on our program today. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak Ji, for such an insightful, I would say, starter to the discussion. I recall a fashion event wherein the models were wearing some jute clothings, and I think that is wherein the direction we were trying to head, and more impetus may be needed rather than simply using jute as a packaging material in the form of gunny bags. Thank you, Deepak sir. Our next speaker I would like to invite is Mr. Moloy Chandan Chakraborthy. Chakraborthy sir, he is BTech from IIT Indian School of Mines, that is the erstwhile name, and currently it's IIT Dhanbad. And he is also an IIM alumni from Bangalore. He is Indian Defense Account Service batch 1993 alumni, and he has held several positions like Director of Vigilance in the Department of Commerce from 2004 to 2007. Later on, he was additional CD in IFA, Port Blair 2010 to 11, and later IFA, Andaman Nicobar Command in Port Blair from 11 to 13. Holding various positions like Controller of Accounts, Ordnance Factory, Kolkata, and Controller of Defense Accounts, Army, Guwahati from 17 to 18. Later on, he was given CMD NJMC Limited additional charge, and he joined in 2019. And he was also given an additional charge as secretary, National Jute Board, which he joined on 1st July 2020, which he is continuing currently. So currently, he is the Jute Commissioner and Secretary, National Jute Board. I invite Mr. Chakraborthy to kindly share his views on the jute industry. Thank you.
Good afternoon, namaskar. सभी को हमारा नमस्कार. This topic which I have been asked to speak on is quite a, what should I say, interesting topic. Industry and investment policy with focus on jute sector. Now there are many experts who can talk on the investment issues. Let me first just run through some idea on the jute sector, because there are, I understand, people from various sectors of the economy. Some may not have clear ideas of how the jute industry works, what are the numbers associated with it. In fact, if I look at it, even I did not have too much of an idea of jute before I became the jute commissioner. Only I saw those different gunny bags floating around everywhere with their different thappas on there, that ये पंजाब का है, ये MP का है, ये West Bengal का है. But after I came in, I sort of I had to learn, and it's been a very, very interesting experience, let me tell you. In between also, I held another important position for almost 9-10 months. That was the textile commissioner charge in Mumbai, which again opened up a huge vista for me. So I had that opportunity to look at both the sectors. But first, let me just come to the jute sector. If we look at the jute sector, see, if in Eastern India's economy, jute is a very important product. It is one of the oldest sectors in this part of the. In fact, total India also, if we look at it, it is jute and cotton are one of the oldest sectors of the economy. Now, if we look at this, our Mr. Jain had pointed out that it had started about 150 years old. The jute industry, it started, I think, sometime around 1850s, 1855 was probably the first mill which had set up. So it's been a long journey, but somehow what I find during my this journey along with the jute industry is that not too much has changed. Not too much has changed over the years. So there is a huge potential for upgradation, and there's a huge potential for improvement. If you look at jute, all of us know that it is best. It is mostly used in packaging material. The advantage of jute is that it meets all the standards for safe packaging, because it is naturally renewable, biodegradable, and an eco-friendly product. Jain Saab has pointed out that, the plastic. We all know how harmful plastics have been to the environment, and it continues to be harmful because we as human beings, I should say, not just Indians, we do not seem to let go of our love for plastic, and the havoc it is creating, all of us know. I was reading a study by one of the Australian National University, where they have calculated that our usage of plastic is actually leading us to ingest almost one credit card size of plastic every week. That is the microfiber which are being removed from the plastic bags and getting into our food chain, into our food cycle. So we can understand the how harmful plastic is. Further, if I look at it, the jute industry in India, there are 40 lakh jute farmers I mean 40 lakh, not 40 lakh jute farmers, almost 40 lakh people are dependent on jute farming in this country. There are about 4 lakh workers in the organized mills. There are about 2 lakh workers who are in the diversified sectors, the tertiary sectors of the jute industry. And there are a large number of persons who are engaged in the trade of jute. Now, let me look at some other numbers. I have the data of 1st January 2019 because the latest data which is compiled by my office as Jute Commissioner, we could not get the complete update because there was a shutdown for almost 3 months. So due to COVID-19, this data input has been delayed. But we have some numbers. We have, as of now, 47,000, almost 48,000, 47,942 looms in the jute industry, of which almost 16,461 are Hessian looms, almost 24,593 are sacking looms, and 283 carpet backing cloth, and the other looms are 6,405. If we look at the installed spindles, it was almost 39,200, and of which about 6 lakh plus are fine spindles and about 1.38 lakhs are coarse spindles. So, and if we look at our export oriented units, the maximum installed capacity other than 100% EOUs, it is estimated to be about 27,000 tons per annum. 27,000 tons per annum. So, the number of mills, there are about 98 composite mills in the country. West Bengal has 72 jute mills. Andhra Pradesh has 12 mills. Uttar Pradesh has 3 mills. Bihar has 3 mills. Odisha 3, Assam 2, Chhattisgarh 2 mills, and Tripura 1 jute mill. But of that, if we look at Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, all of them are closed. Mainly what we have are in West Bengal. We have a few in Andhra Pradesh has about 7 mills running. Total about 75 mills are actually running. Now, if we look at the challenges of the jute sector, what are they? One, I will come to what the solutions, how the government is trying to help the jute sector. But let me just look at what are the challenges which the jute industry as a whole has. One is poor and average quality of raw jute. Then there is the fluctuation of prices of raw jute. Right now, they are going towards north. Not, I should not say they are going towards. They have already gone quite high. If we look at the minimum support price of raw jute, the standard variety is about 4,225. Right now, that same variety in the market is ruling about 5,300 to 5,500 per quintal. That is the difference which is there. Now, another problem is the high comparative input cost, the rising cost of production, and competition from cheaper substitutes like plastic. Then there are one big problem about the sector is the absence of modern and alternative faster machines and new technology for processing and production of jute. Then another thing is that we are consistently getting competed out from the export market by Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is our biggest competitor in the jute sector. If we look at it, we produce something between about 55 to sometimes even 60% of the raw jute worldwide. But when it comes to export, Bangladesh is almost 3-4 times, at least 4 to 5 times what we are exporting. I'll come to the numbers later on. Then the other problem is that there is this heavy dependence on government procurement. Then the other issue is that the diversification from the traditional products, that is our sacking, is not to the extent which should have been there. Almost 76% of the total production of finished jute products goes into sacking. So only 24%, so there's a huge scope there. Then attempts to diversify, again, not much of a success. Now let me come to the raw jute scenario. One good thing about jute is that it is a cash crop, and the other thing is that it is between seasons, because Rabi ends, then before the Kharif season starts, it can come in as an intermediate product. So, and mostly because it is a cash crop to the farmer, so they can get the money immediately. So, one good thing about the raw jute crop is it is not only fiber, which is usable. There is also jute stick is there, which can be used as fuel and building material by the farming community. But now there are much greater, possibilities for this raw jute stick, and if we look at the plant itself, the jute plant has very high carbon dioxide assimilation ability. In its about 110 to 120 days of growing, 1 acre of jute can absorb 6 metric tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release about 4.4 metric tons of oxygen. So you can understand it is several times higher than trees of the same in the same area. So this is a big ecological advantage footprint for jute. One issue again about the raw jute scenario is that there has been a significant fluctuation in the area under raw jute cultivation. This is because there has been fluctuation in rainfall during the sowing season. There have been, of course, raw jute prices have been fluctuating wildly. So the farmer is not always confident that he will get a very high price. Of course, there is the MSP operations by the Jute Corporation of India, but then farmers go to MSP operations. They go to JCI only when they don't find a buyer in the traditional sense. Then the returns realized from competing crops during the previous season, that is also there. For a long time, jute has been very, I have seen, because last year I went there, many places the issue of jute is that it is the competing crop is maize. And maize, I've seen jute, jute cultivation going on at one place, and just next to that, maize cultivation is going on. And the reason was that maize was going at a very high rate. Unfortunately, this year the maize prices have crashed, and I understand many of the maize farmers are staring at losses. So, and maize, another bad thing about maize is that it actually affects the soil very adversely. So these are some of the issues which have come in the raw jute scenario.
सर आप म्यूट हो गए हैं.
Okay, if I look at these are touch screen issues, so they always create problems. Touch screen वगैरह. So if I look at the government, how the government is working in the, sorry, are everyone visible? Okay. Mr. Jain pointed out about the government intervention. Now let me tell you, no other sector is so much protected by the government as the jute sector. You have a ready-made market. Basically, everything you make in packing is bought by the government. Let me look at some numbers. I have some numbers. If we look at the last few years, the production of jute goods from, say, if I look at 2011-12, it has actually gone down as a metric ton. It was almost 1582 in 2011-12. There was a loss in between. Now it has started picking up for the last 2 years or so. Last year, we did a total of 1167 metric tons. But if we look at the government's, what the government requirement are, then you can understand how it has gone up, by leaps and bounds. The government requirement in year the year 13-14, that is Kharif 12-13 and Rabi 13-14, was about 38.17 lakh bales. Then the next year there was a sudden downtrend, and again the next year there was a downtrend. Now after that it is consistently going up. If we look at the jute year 16-17, it is 27.13 lakh bales. That was the government requirement. In 17-18 it was 33.04. In 18-19 it was 39.85 lakh bales. These are the bales I am talking of. Then in 19-20 it was almost similar, 38.30. Last year, which the Rabi season ended in June, it was 40.47. And going by present trends, if we look at 21-22, then we will be having even higher demand. Sorry, 2021, we'll be having even higher demand, because the Kharif this time, the demand is, I have the numbers with me. This is an unprecedented almost 24 lakh bales. That means we are headed for a bumper crop also in Kharif season. So, but the supplies, if we look at the supplies, of the 24 lakh bales, almost 24 lakh bales, the industry will be able to supply only about 14 lakh bales in the Kharif season. Why? Because of course there was this loss due to two and a half months of what we call that shutdown. So we lost about 6 to 7 lakh bales or so. But normally, if we look at this from the figures, it is very clear that whatever government is, whatever the mills are ready to produce, the government is ready to take. Now, if we look at our export scenario last year, despite shutdown, and we lost about 15 days in March of what you call export business. We reached almost an all-time high of jute good export, that was almost 2,400 crores, 2395.76. That was the last figure which we got, updated figure. And then if I look at the other issues, the government support is, we have this modernization, we have the jute technology mission, which actually allows the industry to get modern machinery and upgrade their machines. Now, in the jute technology mission period, the current period is 2013-20. Before that, 2008 to 13. In that period, approximately 500 crores of investment was done, and about 105 crores of subsidy was provided to the industry. Now, in the next, which is the current period 2013 to 20, which has been extended till 31st of March 2021, we have almost, the estimate was about 250 crores investment and about 50 crores of subsidy which was thought of. But unfortunately, this figure has not yet been reached. Now, the strategy for modernization, that is where the issue lies. Actually, what we are seeing is that the upgradation of the industry still has a lot to be desired, because what the focus should have been on technology upgradation and adaptation, and also upgradation and adaptation, technology upgradation and adaptation, but somehow it is only a few mills who have actually done this upgradation to the extent required. And if we look at it, government has been protecting the traditional jute product, that is the jute sacks, through compulsory reservation. Mr. Jain spoke of this compulsory reservation issue. 100% tea and 20% in sugar, 100% in food grain, 20% in sugar. Then there are also competing demands, because just now I've got a request from the pulses and oilseeds industry to allow tender for this for stacking for this industry, for pulses and oilseeds. But right now there is so much of a demand in the food grain sector. It is, I'm having to think how to deal with it, because there's huge demand in the Kharif season, 24 lakh bales, and only 14 lakh can be produced. The funny thing about Kharif season is that because it is rice, the industry would prefer avoiding packaging plastic, because as you know, rice tends to harm the rice tends to get harmed by plastic. So that is, so even dilution in favor of plastic is not being supported too much. The state procuring agencies are not very keen to take the plastic bags in lieu of the jute bag. Now, if I look at this, the other issue which is very, very necessary is the product diversification and the opportunities. See, I initially have told that globally synthetic products and plastic carry bags are globally there is a movement to eliminate this. All of you must be knowing our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi had appealed during his 2019 Independence Day address to make India plastic waste-free nation. And also, he has been repeatedly stressing of use of jute and cloth bags in different forums. With a great influencer like him, he is one of the greatest influencers the country has seen. So, it should be a great opportunity for the jute sector to rise to this occasion and market themselves. See, government has already protected the sector, supported the sector to a great extent. Further support, I don't know whether it would be fair also, or whether it would be correct also. But government will support in other ways whatever steps the industry takes to reinvent itself. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to talk of. See, our opportunities in the jute industry, the traditional diversification, if I look at this, there are jute shopping carry bags, there is jute geotextiles, there is technical textiles, there is Hessian sacking, then there is decorative fabrics, and there are other other generic products. So there is a need to make these items multifaceted. Publicity is required, promotion is required, and expansion of the JDPs. That is very, very, very much required. And another issue which the industry needs to look at is the quality management procedures. See, there are quality management systems, ISO 9001. Very few industry, the jute mills, have seriously looked at it. There are very few mills which are there, which has taken up quality management systems in their organization. Then environment management systems. Then the other issue is that the occupational health and safety certification that is required, because frankly speaking, there are, I think, of these numerous jute mills in the country, there are hardly about 6-7 mills which have a modern outlook, which people would like to go there. Many senior officers have been visiting this place. A couple of senior secretaries have also visited, and I've taken them to jute mills. Their standard refrain is, "ये हम मेरे को किस सदी में लेके आए." That needs to be, that impression needs to go. That is where, I mean, there's a great scope for the industry to change their working environment. Because let me tell you very frankly, the present generation whom we are looking for, the youngsters who are coming to the jute industry, this is an aspirational generation. हमारे generation जैसा नहीं है, या उनके आगे generation जैसा नहीं है कि कुछ भी मिल गया काम कर लेंगे. That is, they also are looking at a quality of life which is better. They know, they have a great knowledge of the world. They have information about the world, how things are there, what is there in other industrial sectors, how they are there. So that the industry has to be, I mean, industry has to rise to the occasion and see that the youngsters get a good working environment. Now I'll come to the last thing, which is what are the last two things, in fact. What the government is doing. First, I have told you that we support the industry in the form of MSP. Minimum support price is there for the raw jute. Then the sacking, 100% sacking, the youngsters get grains and 20% in good sugar. Working in that reservation is there. For the food grain sector, almost whatever is produced is government is buying it through the state procuring agencies and FCI. Then about the quality, I initially had spoken about the quality issues in raw jute. Now this government has made a very ambitious target, which we are trying to make it successful, is the iCare project to ensure that good quality seeds are available to the farmers. One big problem in the jute sector is spurious seeds. So over a period of time, we have tried to bring as many farmers under this iCare program as possible. Last year we distributed, this year we distributed almost 600 metric tons of seeds. Next year, the JCI is planning a good big commercial operation of almost 1,000 metric tons. Even though this is still falling a bit short, but it has given rise to, because I am seeing the results in the ground through our dedicated WhatsApp group. We have had some very good results from this experiment where we have had, because through good seeds and then through advanced rating system, we have been able to increase the quality, the grade of raw jute by at least 1 to 1.5 grades. So this has resulted in higher price to the farmers. What is planned for the biggest problem in what should I say, quality raw jute production is rating. Earlier, what happened was that there was a lot of water bodies where rating used to get done. Now, over a period of time, you've seen, if you have seen the railway lines, the railways from Bengal, South Bengal to North Bengal, beside the railway tracks, there used to be this water bodies, running water bodies called Nayanjuli. So a large part of this jute used to get rated there. Now, over a period of time, they have dried up, and this led to very unscientific as well as rudimentary methods of rating by the farmers. So what has been done is that the government has decided to have, in 2 years, we are planning to do about 46,000 rating tanks all over the country. So this year we were planning to do at least maybe about 35-40%. Unfortunately, it got delayed due to two reasons. One is that Amphan, and then there was this floods. But we are now started, and we hope that by before the next sowing season, we will be having a substantial number of this rating ponds available for. So next year we will be getting advanced. We will be surely having better quality of raw jute. Now, R&D. If we look at R&D, yes, that is one area where a lot of scope is there. I will not take, because I've already taken almost half an hour. I should not take much time because other speakers are also there. But there have been 3 or 4 interesting and important R&D projects which have been there. One is this hygiene product from the fiber and jute stick. Actually, IIT Kharagpur initially made a sanitary napkin from this jute fiber and jute stick. Now, then there is, based on that idea, Indian Jute Industry Research Association, IJIRA, they have developed almost 99.5% biodegradable sanitary napkin from jute fiber. I can tell this house that that product has already been approved by IMA, and it is under advanced testing with ICMR. We hope if the ministry, the secretary, the honorable minister, or everyone is very keen on this project becoming successful. So, if that comes in, ICMR maybe another 3-4 months will be required because they need volunteers. They are giving it to volunteers, and they need the results. But we are very confident that this product would be successful, and it will be a huge diversification opportunity in the jute sector. Then there is another project which has also been found to be successful, but it will need maybe another 6 months or a year to be completely to come to full fruition. Is that activated carbon from jute stick has been prepared, and that also has been the results are quite heartening, and it shows a huge potential. Then we are looking at man-made cellulose fiber from green jute plants. So these are there, and further, I am sure about other issues related to jute. We can, because I've taken already a lot of time, I can always be ready after the others have spoken. I can be ready with your question and answers. So that is what I have to say. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful insights. You've actually taken us through the complete industry concepts, the advantages, the challenges, what policy initiatives and what innovative ideas are there towards utilizing this product to the maximum for the benefit of the economy. Thank you once again, sir. I now would invite our next speaker, Mr. Saket Basu. Mr. Saket Basu, sir, he is a graduate from Scottish Church College and did his law from Calcutta University. He has given humbly very little of his biodata to us, and I was trying to Google his name and found several judgments wherein his name was representing. So maybe we would expect a lot of jute industry related controversies and the legal sides maybe he will be talking about. He is having keen interest in theoretical politics. He is an active reader and an avid trekker. Mr. Basu, you are kindly invited to share your views. Thank you.
He got disconnected.
He is muted, sir, I think. Mr. Basu, you can unmute yourself and can start speaking.
He may be having some problem.
Yeah. Mr. Basu, are you there? Can you hear us? I think he got disconnected.
Kenduji, can you make a call to Mr. Basu and find out why he's missing?
Yeah, we can wait for half a minute, and if you find that if he's having problem, then maybe we can invite our next speaker and then shift his schedule to the next queue. So I was actually hearing Mr. Chakraborty's insights, and I was really excited as a startup entrepreneur. He was, speaking many ideas about how this jute industry and innovation is happening, not only in the terms of using it as a sanitary napkin, which is an innovative product, or even activated charcoal being produced out of these jute fibers. Being a botanist, also I can appreciate that it's a plant which extremely provides us oxygen, and to that point, I think the importance of jute is being presented. So I think we can, by the time Mr. Basu joins, we can invite our next speaker. I think he's having some technical problem, Mr. Saket Basu. Mr. Soumen Purkayasthha. He is the national convener Naba Banga. He is a policy enthusiast, and he is associated with BJP's policy think tank. I was trying to get through his information from Google again, and found that he represented the legislative yuan parliament in the Republic of China, and he has received many international recognitions and awards. And there's a point which I can note is that this is for the first time any Indian has won this title in honor. Our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji also visited Taiwan as a young leader to represent India. So I can, very excitingly feel how important he is there in the policy and the politics. He represented many international policy discussions and trainings as a panelist and trainer. He has been representing the Young Thinkers Forum, Fora, and that was organized by British High Commission, New Delhi. Conducted many socio-political leadership programs under Rambhau Mhalgi Prabodhini, United Nations listed body. I can now invite Mr. Soumen Purkayasthha to kindly share his views on how the jute industry is faring and what are the advantages and disadvantages, and where should we head in that direction. Mr. Purkayasthha.
Namaste, Dr. Vyas.
Thank you.
Firstly, I would like to congratulate Federation of Indian Industry for organizing this important webinar, and I would, and of course, choosing such an important point of discussion, industry and investment policy with focus on jute sector. Uh, Thank you, Sri Deepak Jain sir, the Director General of FII, for giving me this opportunity. And good evening to all the viewers and all our distinguished panelists. See, if we we have as of now Mr. Deepak Jain and Mr. Moloy Chakraborthy both have they have described nitty-gritties about jute industry and its problems and everything, almost everything. But see, we have to look at some of the points which are very important in case when we speak about jute industry. About jute industry, if we see the history of jute industry, till 1947, Indian jute mills dominated the world jute markets with its share of 70% with its product in the global jute market. if we see this, and first jute plant which Jain Saab has mentioned that was established, that is Rishra, was established in Kolkata way back in 1855. After that, within no time, means by 1859 or so, five more plants were jute mills were established and having its operating wings of some 900 plus operating wings. So if this is the situation in the then period of time, then why we are lacking, and why it is a dying industry at this point in time when, see, again, if I look at that point, means the history of jute industry, it has served the world. It has employed many millions of people in this particular industry, these mills and all. But after that, we have seen many developments. See, as we all know, uh, within India, India is leading in jute production, and in India, eastern part of India, West Bengal, and this part, it is contributing around 70 more than 70% of jute produce comes that they come it comes from West Bengal only. See, before partition, as our earlier panelists have mentioned that the Bengal region, today's West Bengal and the then East Bengal or East Pakistan, today's Bangladesh, it also had a lot of high quality jute. And we are having good quality jute in West Bengal's like Hooghly area and all those areas, North Chobis Parganas, South Chobis Parganas, Howrah and all this. But the quality after the partition, the industry suffered a huge problem in the supply of raw materials, which contributes to a big issue actually for the industry to survive. And then immediately, a stiff decline, a gradual decline in global export of jute produce. After that, means if we see the jute industry in Bengal, we cannot ignore the part of 60s and 70s when there were huge different kind of activism and buns and all those things, means radical communist movement, which actually led many businessmen entrepreneurs to shut down their jute mills and move out of Bengal because they had created a segment between the employers and employees, which is like they used to call these employers like bourgeois. The bourgeois are like, means they are not good people, and they are actually utilizing. So they created a mindset among the laborers, and there were series of movements and all. Other than getting into a smooth work culture system, that also contributed a lot in the declining of jute industry in the West Bengal. Then again, if we see in the industry friendly environment, because because I am representing Nava Banga, it's a campaign uh, where we say that we are it's a Renaissance, it's a people's movement, but we talk our movement is very intellectual at an intellectual level, and we are connected to different people in the districts, maybe a student, a professor, a lawyer, a scientist, or and other. We are West Bengal. We are working in West Bengal, and also we are working on Pravasi Bengalis in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, northeast, and outside India. We have few NASA scientists from USA with us in Nava Banga. We have some techies from Silicon Valley. We have some eminent doctors, Bengali doctors, with us in Nava Banga campaign. So means it's a movement, but we are working in a very means social level kind of a thing. It's not, we don't make anything into any political comment and all. It's very much social thing, because we personally we feel that being, if we think of, because we say we are working to regain the lost glory of Bengal, that is our prime catch line, and towards a vibrant West Bengal. Then if we say towards a developed or vibrant West Bengal, then we cannot ignore the jute sector, which FII has decided today to talk on and organize a webinar on. And we have important person like Shri Moloy Chakraborthy ji, a jute commissioner, with us. So see, in such a platform, it is very it is very good to talk on all those issues, where we feel that industry friendly atmosphere is also very much required in for development of any particular state or nation, or whatever you say. In today's time, excuse me, in today's time, if we see, we know the problems, and Mr. Moloy Chakraborty has mentioned very well about the issues and what all support central government is providing for this jute industry. There are some other issues as well, like when we speak about the opportunities. It is a labor intensive organization industry, where this industry employed more than 40 million people. It took in its arm, and it can be a very important means employment generating industry for eastern part of India primarily. Though we know it is jute industry is there in Andhra Pradesh and all those areas, mainly primarily, other than Bihar, Bengal, in Andhra Pradesh and all. But see, in today's time, there we have to, the industry has to think out of the box. The industry has to come up with uh, cutting edge marketing policies and strategies, like means our honorable prime minister is saying, he's having a flagship campaign of Atmanirbhar Bharat. See, today we have people, we all know, Mr. Malay Chakraborty has very well explained that what are the different side effects of plastics we are using every day. But in spite of knowing, we don't have an option. So why can't the industry think out of the box and come up with a plausible solution, that if we can market, because this particular product, jute product, is of low cost, it is cost effective product, it is good quality, it is eco friendly and biodegradable. If it has got all the qualities of a sustainable product, today's world is speaking everywhere. You get to know, you get to hear about the term sustainable development, sustainable product, sustainable and all. So this is a sustainable product. Why don't we market it in a fashion that uh, it lures the consumers. Even if the industry tries to, convince the retailers or their associations that we provide cheaper, and cheaper yet good quality of jute bags. So you replace this with the plastic bags. Even in today's time, USA and many other countries, they are taking it up. They are welcoming jute products. But our industry is facing a lot of problem regarding labor issues are there. There are many issues pertaining to old machineries, because we need updated machineries and all these things. I'm sure our panelists will understand what I speak, because these are the crux of the whole industry where we can pitch in because after this COVID-19 situation also, the world is getting into a situation where it would look for something environment friendly. It would look for something which is recyclable and all these things. So their jute has got immense potential, and Mr. Deepak Jain has also means he has mentioned that if government can come up with some other policies that to absorb moisture, if it can be used inside or outside the bag, then the share of 20% in sugar products can be increased to more than that percentage. And Mr. Chakraborty has mentioned about MSP and all. But see, it has the opportunity, because in with Atmanirbhar Bharat, many entrepreneurs, many people especially in the state like West Bengal, where employment and where means unemployment is a very big issue, and business situation is not that much good. We all know, because during means independence, the contribution towards national GDP, it was second. West Bengal was second contributor to the national GDP. Now it is less than half. So, uh, why are we standing? This could be a very big opportunity for the government in state and center to promote this particular industry as a means Atmanirbhar Bharat's something like it's a very like a flagship industry where people can come in, people can join, because government, the MSME ministry has given lot of support in case of loans and all other things. If we speak about what government has how government has supported, Mr. Chakraborty has very well mentioned that what all support government has given to and government is giving to this particular sector. But we know that government of India through National Jute Board is implementing incentive scheme for acquisition of plant and machinery. In this scheme, an incentive of 20% of the cost of new machinery for jute mill and 30% for JDP MSME units is considered for reimbursement. So all these things is and also under this scheme, capital subsidy amounting to rupees 4,933 lakh to jute mills and JDP units has been released during 2014 to 15 and 2018 to 19. So we have all this support from the central government. We have different other supports. Even we have got our honorable Prime Minister has mentioned that such industry, jute, about specifically on jute industry, that it is people centric, it is people driven and planet friendly, which I have mentioned that it is it is eco-friendly and biodegradable. After all these things, what we think we have to create a very good, means other than all these things, other than politics apart and all these things, because we have to now focus on the, because the whole of India and the world is moving ahead. Of course, leave aside this COVID-19 situation, we all are moving ahead. But this main state which is having the sizable share, the lion's share in jute production, that is West Bengal. There, the government should create a industry friendly situation where people can come in and get in and invest, because today's topic is again industry and its investment policy. To invite and to welcome investment, we have to create a situation where investors also feel secured that yes, it's a very industry friendly situation, means state, and we can work on it, and we can think of marketing and all these things, because their main energy has to go to the marketing. Of course, production is the prime thing, but marketing is today, in today's time, this is the right time. We believe that jute products can replace the whole of plastic products. Again and again I say, jute is the future. Jute is the future, but we have to support it. We have to, because central government is giving a lot of opportunities. It has imposed anti-dumping duties to in importing jute products from outside India, like Bangladesh and all, to protect Indian jute industry. So it is doing its best. Central government is doing its best for this industry, which we in today's time we are terming it as a dying industry. And excuse me. But again, we are in a position where we can market it in a fashion across the world, across the globe, because Indian jute mills are experienced and they are having much longer experience than any country. And these it has got very much good skill level availability is also there in India. Cheap labor is also available in India. It has got so many positive sides, so many opportunities and strengths uh, for Indian jute industry to work on it and come up with a vibrant jute industry in India, especially in West Bengal. Again, I say jute industry. Last but not the least, I say that jute industry can be the best industry and best opportunity. The hot cake, jute products could be hot cake in world market today, provided we market it in a fashion that it comes into knowledge. Of course, people are aware of it, but that means to compete with plastic, we have to make it very much means, what do we say, lighter weight and all these things, with cutting edge technology. Along with this, if they market this particular product, it can be one of very good contributor in Indian export sector. And yes, it can support honorable prime ministers Atmanirbhar Bharat. And we, the people of West Bengal, we can also find a huge opportunity of employment and business in this particular sector. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Soumenji. Thank you so much for providing your wise insights into the investment and other opportunities in the jute industry.
साइकत जी उस समय हमारे साथ उनका कनेक्शन छूट गया था, तो हमने अपना प्रोग्राम आगे बढ़ा लिया. साइकत जी अभी हमारे साथ में मेरे ख्याल से वापस जुड़ गए हैं, एंड आई कैन नाउ रिक्वेस्ट हिम टू शेयर हिज व्यूज in today's webinar. Saikaji, are you there? Can you hear us? Please unmute and start speaking, sir. Saikaji, आपको आवाज आ रही? Can you hear us?
I think somebody can call him up. Somebody can call him up.
Right.
Uditendu ji, please call and check if Mr. Basu is there.
Yeah.
Legal issues are always complicated. Sometimes they are on and sometimes they are off. To understand the legal complications is the difficult
Actually, there is
thing.
some technical issue because Mr. Saiket has logged in from 3 devices.
Yeah, that's what I want. I was seeing there, and he is trying his level hard to. Again, he's trying to join from several devices. Maybe because of the poor connectivity in that area, it could be possible that his connection is getting, sometimes logged in or logged off.
I think we can request him to shut off the video and then speak.
Yes, yes.
That would be
Uditendu, can you take him on a call? Maybe he can directly speak on the phone, and you can make him join with us. तो फोन से भी उनको ज्वाइन करा सकते हैं. Maybe he can speak using the phone. आप उसको स्ट्रीम कर दें लाइव ऑडियो को.
अभी मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ.
In the meantime, let me show one jute diversified product which I have bought myself.
Please, sir.
This is a jute jacket, which I bought and which I am using once in a while. Of course, I bought it hardly a couple of months back. So it's still not very cold enough to use it, but I have used it to some air-conditioned room. Let me tell you, when people saw it, they could not make it out that it is made of 70% jute. Somebody told me whether ये खादी है क्या? So it is 70% jute and only 30% cotton. So this is the beauty of JUCO, which is used. Then एक मिनट मास्क खुलो से. Some masks have also been made. I got a few of them. Again, almost 80% jute. You will not be able to make out. In fact, it's a fashion statement. Let me see if my wife has one. I've just asked for her. I can show that also. So jute has immense opportunities. I could not take up. Yeah. This is one. It can be used as a fashion statement. Again, it is ready for 30 watts. You can use it 30 watts. So it is reusable also.
Actually, Mr. Chakraborthy, that is what I asked. Government has to spend on R&D.
Yeah.
It has to spend on branding. It has to be on the government level.
Come to that because my time was running out. I already spoke for half an hour. When I was given only 20 minutes, but actually. Branding also.
Quite interesting. Your
something is going on. I mean, a jute mark is being developed. We will come to know later on. I cannot reveal too much at this point. But there's a huge. In fact, I'll tell you, there was a huge plan by the ministry to go ahead for popularizing jute products. We had discussed this extensively in sometime in January, but unfortunately the COVID situation put we had to hold it back because of the COVID situation. Otherwise, we had planned the ministry had planned a India-wide campaign to popularize jute and jute products.
Right, sir.
Is Mr. Basu ready?
I can certainly request one of our honorable members to join your efforts in popularizing the branding and R&D.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
We can certainly request our jute manufacturing members in Kolkata.
Mr. Basu, are you there? Can you join us now?
I think he is having some problem. Otherwise.
Okay, in that case, maybe in the meantime, we can take up a few questions that are there.
Probably.
Deepak ji, questions ले सकते हैं हम बीच में? There are several queries जो maybe Basu Chakraborthy Sabi can answer.
Yeah. Let me see. Some. Let me give the what you call disclaimer. I do not know everything, but I'll try to. Whatever is possible, I can answer. If there is some queries which cannot be answered immediately, I'll give my email address. You can mail it to me. I'll get the answers organized.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have received one question on Facebook. Mr. Krishnendu Majumdar, he has asked that how can we make the cost of jute production cheaper so that it can compete with other artificial polymer materials?
Yeah, see, the question of this question comes up. See, the point is that we try to compare plastic and jute in the same way, because you get a plastic bag for say what, 1 rupee, or the what you call that single use plastic, some even lesser. They are got free also. You buy 2 kg. Sorry, 2 kg of potato, they'll give you this plastic bag free. So, but then if you look at a jute bag, if you buy one jute bag costing say 50 rupees, 60 rupees, 100 rupees, you can reuse it through the year. And even those jute bags which are more than 40 microns, that also you can hardly use twice or thrice. I must admit that I have also pray once in a while when I go to these malls and pick up some stuff from say a chain like Spencer's or Reliance Fresh. I also sometimes fall prey and tell, because I always don't have a bag, but then I fall prey and tell them, a plastic bag de do. But then that is, you still cannot use it twice or thrice, not more than that. But a jute bag you can use a year around, and it will. So one should not compare the cost. It is also, the problem is that we have become lazy. Hum alsi ho gaye. That's plain. Because I remember my childhood. If you look at it, my father. We were not rich at all, but he had a scooter. He used to go and buy stuff from the market. You take his jute bag, and you take a couple of jute bags, and then get these supplies. So it's a question of trying to trying to be a responsible citizen also. Plastic, see, if we look at price point, then let me be clear: plastic cannot. Jute cannot that way compete, but it has to be environment. It is necessary for us as citizens to be environmentally responsible. And I'll tell you, I've seen the youngsters, the kids, they are very, very taken up with these ideas. When you speak to them about environment, the necessity of stopping the usage of what you call single-use plastics and even other plastics, they are very keen. They are ready to support such environmental, what should I say, policies or initiatives. So I'm being frank. We cannot, at the present situation, if we take price point wise, then uh, we cannot compete on a one-to-one basis. That is one plastic bag to one jute bag. But then, actually, if you look at it over a period of time, the reusage jute is much cheaper. The jute bags are much cheaper.
Right, sir. There's another question from one of our team members. Mr. Rishabh, he has asked, how can small startups contribute in the jute industry, and whether stepping into the jute industry is a viable option or not? And there is a similar question that how can local producers utilize the jute industry in achieving some benefits, financials?
Pardon, can you come once again?
Yeah, there's a question that how can startups, take a leverage on the advantages, and they can, maximize their benefits to jute industry or even the local producers. How can they
Yeah, there can be startups. I mean, if you look at startups, I would say the jute diversified industry. That is where they can come in. The jute diversified products. I had already named quite a few of them, and even this R&D products which we have told, they don't need too much of an investment initially. So you can start small and somebody, there's somebody. Oh, Mr. Purkayasthha, can you please mute yourself? There's some echo which is there. Mr. Soumen. So I mean, they can always start small. I have come across. Now I was requesting you to mute. Oh, it's okay. So I was coming to the point of the jute entrepreneurs. There are quite a few. I think uh, there are thousands of them, and they have started small with small manufacturing units. So you have to basically get. And in fact, let me tell you, the even in this ISAPM scheme, the machinery where we support machinery subsidy, the government will give subsidy up to 20% for such initiatives, provide you are adhering to the laid down scheme guidelines. So government will also support such an initiative, and I must tell you there is always a huge opportunity in the export market. That is where the focus of the startup should also be. You have to unmute. Dr. Vyas, you have to unmute.
Yes, sir. Sorry. So there is another question wherein Mr. Harsh wants to know. He's also a key team member. That how can government tackle the rising price of the jute industry, or to what extent the government can do so that the jute industry can be promoted? Whether there can be sponsorship into the jute industry that can be brought by way of government, or through IJMA involvement.
Is it Mr. Harsh Nahata?
No, sir. He's Mr. Harsh Dutt from our core team member.
Okay. Okay. See, I mean, prices. I must again tell that prices of jute, raw jute, they are somewhat in the rise for some time, but I think it is partially due to speculation, partially due to speculation, because there's a feeling that we might not have the targeted production this year, because as you know, Amphan was there. Amphan did actually harm a small percentage of the jute crop. I should not say small percentage, but a certain percentage of the jute crop when it was during this post sowing period. So that has initially this time our initial estimate was about 10 to 15% more jute sowing was done compared to last year. But because of this Amphan, we might end up with Amphan, and then there were floods. Because Assam, there was a huge flood, and Assam is almost the second most important jute growing area in the country. So Assam, we've lost quite a bit of the crop. And Assam actually has many places because Assam has running water. Running water leads to good jute quality. So Assam we have lost. So that is why there is this speculation going on. The jute commissioner, I have certain tools to enforce. To keep a check on such speculative activities. But again, I have to make a balance between providing a decent return to the farmer as well as to the industry. So we are constantly monitoring the situation. I cannot reveal what I am planning to do. What my office or the ministry is planning to do next. But recently we had issued, stock control order under the jute and jute textile control order to see that speculations are kept to a minimum. What is legitimate price? The farmer should get, the industry should buy at a legitimate price, and then that is why what my office will do next, that I will not reveal. But we are trying to control the situation, balancing the different ends. Any other question?
Sir, yeah, one last query, and it is that where do you see the industry heading in the next, say, 10 years? A steady increase in the industry, what and how?
Yes, Achar. Okay, this is an interesting. This is very important. I wanted to come to that again because of too many issues. I sort of skipped it. But since you have asked this question, even the ministry, our honorable minister, our secretary, they are very keen on having a long-term roadmap of the industry. And we are actually looking at it. I've already had a series of meetings with a couple of stakeholders. We want to look at a situation where we are not just dependent on the industry does not depend just on government supplies. 76% of the total production going to government is not a very happy situation. But again, packaging would remain to be a prime function of the jute industry. There's no doubt about that. But what we are looking at right now, the jute industry, the turnover is about, say, 11,000 crores. We should be looking at, say, around 20,000 crores or so, or a little more in the coming 3, 4, 5 years or so. The other thing is that expanding the export, 2,400 crores, we should look at, say, 4,000 crores or so, at least, if not more, in the coming years. So we are trying to lay down a roadmap, and I'm sure if we get the supports and inputs from different industry stakeholders, I've already discussed the issue with IDMA. I've discussed with the Jute Balers Association also. I am in discussion with other stakeholders. I will be discussing shortly with the research bodies. So we are trying to look at a way where we are able to increase the area under production, because right now the area under production has remained stagnant because the farmers are because two reasons. One is the price has to be remunerated. Number two is that the jute after growth, the post harvest, the work is very tough. I mean, the rating part is a tough part. So youngsters again are trying to avoid this. So we are trying to see, due to the different interventions by the government, the rating tank schemes, the good seed schemes, to see how best we can expand the area under production. So if the area under production goes up, then the diversified products, the demand for the industry will be adequately met. And diversified product, again, I'm coming to that. That was an important thing I missed out. If we look at a standard jute bag of 50 kg, it has it is 580 grams. Now, once it is processed and sold to the government, the returns for that bag is about 49 rupees or so. Now, if you look at a complete jute bag which you use for your regular, say, shopping bag, there, depending on how you manufacture it, how you brand it, a minimum good quality shopping bag of that 580 gram or 600 gram, 100 rupees. If you are able to export it, I've seen last year I got some jute products made, and I asked one of my friend who was in the US, who had come down to my place. I asked him, कि इसका दाम कितना होगा? He told me that if it is sold in a place like, say, क्या है हमारा, that Walmart, at least $15 to $20. अगर Zara होगा, so it will be maybe $30-$35. That's same, and its price, I got it made after extensive treatment, was around 400 rupees or so. And I'll show you the bag. Just 1 minute. Can you hold on? I'm getting a call from my secretary. Just hold on.
Please. There's a question for you as a representative of youth and being a youth leader yourself. Where do you see the youth can contribute to the growth of jute industry? Malayji is joining back. I think maybe you can take the question and answer once Mr. Chakraborthy finishes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was I? I was there in. कहाँ बात कर रहे थे?
आप diversified products के बारे में उसके बारे में बता रहे.
So diversified product. So that. So there is a huge scope in the diversified industry. That's what I was telling.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now the question to Mr. Soumen Purkayasthha is that as a youth leader, where do you see the youth can contribute to the jute industry, and how can do that? Soumenji, can you hear us?
See, now today we have some opportunities, as I have mentioned earlier as well, that yes, is it audible?
Yeah, it's audible now.
Audible?
Yeah.
It's audible.
Yes.
Wait a minute, please.
No, you are audible. Please continue.
If we talk of this current generation, we have got supportive, very much industry friendly government at the center of India under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji. And he is encouraging youth for startups, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and all these things. Now, even in the case
There is a voice break.
I think signal problem. Normally Saturday evening, Sunday evening, everyone switches off their Wi-Fi during this period, so there is always a congestion issue.
That's true. Sir. Yeah. सोमेन जी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है. आई थिंक हाई लोड है नेट पे, सो नेटवर्क इज जैम प्रॉब्ली.
I think
Of jute sector, what government opportunity?
still speaking.
Deepak ji, my last question would be to you that as the Director General of FII, where do you see FII can contribute to the industry and investment opportunities in the jute industry? Policy as well.
This is to me.
To Mr. Deepak Jain.
Oh.
In the short term or in the long term, I think our focus has to be redefined. It cannot be as if we are exporting 2,600 crores, then we look at 4,000 crores of export.
Yes. Hello.
It cannot be like that. What we must look at, what is the world market size and how much penetration in that market we can do. That is important.
Is it audible now?
Eventually, the market penetration and the percentage of market capturing, that has to be looked at. Because when you compare the cost of plastic versus jute, it is not only one-time cost that has to be compared, it has to be comparison of the end of the life cycle cost for the plastic bag taken into account, because it degrades in 500 years or 700 years. That end of the life cycle cost, that should be taken into account when you take into account the costing of one bag plastic, one bag jute. So when you present it before the market from that angle, I think gradually on the global percentage scale, you will improve the tally of India. And not only this, that we produce 24 lakh bales, more and more states can be converted into. When we produce rice, when we produce wheat, we are actually fighting a losing battle. Rice and wheat, they are not our basic products. More and more areas can be brought into jute production. And for the farmers' income to increase, it is essentially to go into value-added products for jute. That value addition, it will percolate down to the farmer, not only to the processor, not only to the fabric maker, but it has to percolate down to the farmer. So that is where the minimum support price will come into play. That is where everything will set right. The value addition and the global penetration, that is the key to this game. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Deepak ji. Soumen
Now,
ji, yeah.
am I audible?
Continue now.
I had a
Yeah,
question.
you are audible. Yes.
A few points, like we have to come up with proper R&D and innovative, marketing policies, and a close proximity with Southeast Asia and eastern part of India is a very big opportunity for Indian jute market, because we can bring in different modern technology in India, and we can, we can come up with different modern products produced of with jute materials. There, if we see the traditional jute process and traditional jute products are, of course, they will be absorbed. Even government has come up with different schemes that it absorbs, means in food products 100% and 20% in sugar products. The industry has to use jute products. But other than that, in fashion, See, a few moments back, Mr. Moloy Chakraborthy has shown a jacket which is made of jute, but it can be specially mentioned that it can be one can wear it in when he or she is in an AC room or something like that. But can we make it as good as a cotton jacket with advanced technology and advanced machinery? So if we come up with a single industry of such, innovative idea, then that particular company can export a lot, because only single use of plastic, if we somehow replace with jute products, and at the time when honorable prime minister is also welcoming and asking the people, requesting the citizens of the nation, only Indian market, if we say per day usage of single use plastic bags are huge, then if we can replace this particular number of plastic carry bags with jute products, then also it's a very big step for current age entrepreneurs. And also, as I mentioned, Southeast Asian countries and Eastern India, they can, if there can be a technological exchange, and because few countries like South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, and all these things, many countries, they have got good technologies, and we have got jute. So if we can come up with a very good cutting edge machinery which can produce good quality and very much fashionable jute products, even in the case of many things, means other than carry bags, also in fashion materials like the Mr. Chakraborty has mentioned and shown us a jacket. There could be many other things made of jute. But to begin with, if we just be focused and try to replace a particular business segment of single use, that carry bags, plastic carry bags, if we can replace this particular thing, then also this can contribute hugely into the industry. Yeah.
Charanji, kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. So thank you so much, Soumenji, for your words. And with that, we actually are nearing the closing of this webinar. It has been a long 2-hour duration deliberation, and I think you all have spoken deep insights and spoken and given the deep insights onto the topic today. There are many points at mind, but there is a limitation to that. With that, we actually close. The vote of thanks was to be given by Mr. Hitesh ji, but I think he is not here. He has requested me. तो सबको आप सबका धन्यवाद है, 2 घंटे का आपने समय दिया हमें.
Just one small intervention before you close. If somebody has ideas of, I spoke in between, if somebody has ideas about the rejuvenation or furthering of the jute sector, they can mail me their ideas at secretary@njbindia.in. secretary@njbindia.in. So kindly, if somebody has ideas, some forward-looking ideas for the jute sector, how to expand it, how to go about seeing that it it becomes attuned to the 21st century, third decade, please mail me at this email. I'll just put it in the this comment section also. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So with that, we conclude. Deepak ji,
So
thank you
to
so much for
Mr.
your
Sorry
time.
to
You have
interrupt you.
actually
To
spoken
Mr.
about- yeah.
Yeah, one last one.
आप अनम्यूट करें, कुछ बोलना चाह रहे हैं आप सौमेन जी?
Lastly, I would like to mention one thing, that we should promote this particular product as sustainable product, because that's the catch line the world is speaking today. And I think in that way, in that small way, we can somehow contribute towards the industry. Thank you so much.
True, very true. So Deepak ji today spoke about that 50% of the world requirement is met by India, and what more needs to be done is that with this
Promotion is
135 population should be used as a producer and not just only a market. Moloy sir, you have taken us through the complete journey, how jute industry works. There was so deep insights that were provided during your deliberation, the concept, the advantages of using jute as a key factor in the industry. You have spoken about not just using jute as a gunny bag, but the innovations that are now coming to the industry. You've also spoken about the ecological advantage of jute as a plant, the challenges the jute industry is facing, and you explained that the Bangladesh, though is a small country, is a bigger exporter than us. So what needs to be done, what policy initiatives are required, and how can government, the industry, and the people together can bring in the change. You have spoken about the requirement of the technology upgradation, adaptation, and what all new changes are that required. The modernization of the industry is required. You have spoken about that. You have also spoken that promotion and protection also is needed, which is, I think, one of the key factor which the Prime Minister of India is also pointing out. That's vocal for local. So we have to be vocal about these local products. And as per the territory in the Eastern India, more focus is required. How can we improve the production? How can we bring in the cost down? How can we make the product competitive as a fiber and as the finished goods? You've spoken and you've shown us the roadmap where is the industry is heading. Thank you so much, Malay Chakraborthy sir. Saikat Basuji couldn't join us because of the technical glitch. And Soumen ji, he has spoken about the historical background, the changes from the 19th, 20th, and the 21st century that jute industry is witnessing. He has spoken about the prospects the jute industry has, the social political aspects, socio-economic aspects he has spoken about. And he has also highlighted that how jute industry can contribute to making India an Atmanirbhar Bharat. So with that, I thank all of you. I thank the complete team of FI, the core team who have been working hard so that this webinar could be conducted successfully. The technical team, Sanjeev ji, Uditendu ji, they are always there, and they were continuously present throughout the 2-hour deliberation. So thank you all. And thank you, Deepak sir, for providing us this opportunity so that we could, on the platform of FI, could bring in this informatory idea. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Or more sophisticated, who want to make higher profits. They can essentially adjust their rates by making so in Uniswap, people say, you can't, it always lags the market, you can't adjust your spot price. But you really can by making a trade and adding liquidity, or making a trade and removing liquidity, and then, or removing liquidity, making a trade and then adding it back in synchronously. You can just like line up a series of transactions that sort of adjust the rate and your liquidity contributions. So there's definitely room for a lot more sophisticated market makers. And that's something that we're sort of very into and we're experimenting with as well. And also sort of optimizing, ideally you can model the optimal amount of liquidity for an asset based off certain properties such as volatility of the asset, and demand for it.
So one of the things that seems like a challenging aspect here, let's say you have a market where, there's not that much liquidity, or kind of like liquidity goes down, then okay, but maybe I can go and I can lend my ETH on Dharma or like BlockFi somewhere else, and I make whatever 6% there. But now the trading volume is very low, and I'm only making 2% on Uniswap. So I want to like take my ETH out and put it somewhere else. But of course, that means that now the liquidity has decreased and the slippage is higher, so it becomes like even more unattractive to trade. So like this kind of like death spiral seems to be like pretty likely to happen often, no?
So that's what I was worried about when I released Uniswap. It seems to have been the other side of the death spiral. It seems to be a life spiral of like trading drives liquidity, drives more trading, drives more liquidity, drives more trading, drives more liquidity. That seems to. I was worried about that early on, and it still is possible, especially in certain if some assets change a huge amount in value. One thing I've noticed is that, one thing I've noticed is that when a asset does go down a lot in value, there is also a lot more trading in that moment. Before we get too far into this, maybe I should explain a little bit of how the losses in Uniswap work. I think that that makes so profits they're just based off the fee volume, right? And every trade that happens affects the fee profits, and every trade is profitable for liquidity providers. In one way, but it's and we call it like path independent, right? It's path dependent. Sorry, everything that happens on Uniswap affects your profits, your fees. Yeah. So basically, if a asset goes up in Uniswap very high relative to the other, so you have ETH and MKR. Let's say MKR triples and ETH stays the same. As MKR goes up in value, the contract automatically rebalances all the liquidity providers more heavily towards ETH, right? So it sells on the way up and it buys on the way down, and so you don't get all of the benefits of that MKR tripling, and so that basically loses you money relative to holding those assets. And so what you need is the profits from fees to outweigh losses from this auto rebalancing, and those numbers are really kind of deterministic. So, if you put in ETH and DAI, and then the price of ETH doubles relative to DAI, then when you put in ETH and DAI, you put in 50% value of ETH and 50% value of DAI. So maybe it's, $100,000 of each. And then if ETH were to double in value, if you were holding your assets outside of Uniswap, right, you would now have $100,000 of DAI still, because the DAI is the same, but you would now have $200,000 of ETH. Right, so your total value at the end would be $300,000. But in Uniswap, it would auto rebalance some of your ETH towards DAI as ETH was increasing in price. So if ETH were to double, you would actually have 5% less in value than you would if you held your initial position. And so in order for that to be profitable, you need to have made at least 5% in fees during that period of time.
And on the way down is the same way, right? So basically, You're always worse off. I mean, again, ignoring the fees, if you have you're holding kind of your liquidity pair, than if you're just holding like ETH and DAI in this example.
Correct. Although the numbers at which you're worse off is not insanely high, and it always performs in between the two assets. One interesting way of it's actually the geometric. You basically get the geometric mean of the returns instead of the arithmetic mean. So if one asset goes up 200% and the other asset goes up 50%, 100%, then you get between the two, you get 150% returns on the initial value. versus in Uniswap, you'd basically get the geometric mean, which is always a little bit less than the arithmetic mean. So off a 2x, that's 5% less. Off a 3x, it's 13% less. Off a 50% change, it's 2% less. Off a 25% change, it's like 0.5% less. But these numbers are really, they can all be predetermined. If I put in my assets and they start at this price, and I take them out and they end at this price, like you'll know exactly what that loss is. And so if you know what the daily volume will be in that time period, you can sort of adjust your risk and you can sort of see whether or not it will be profitable for you.
Let's talk about security. dApps are pretty unique because unlike other types of software, they can hold astronomical amounts of value. That's why getting systems audited, creating robust security processes, and fostering a culture of security in your organization is so important. And to do this, you should only trust experts with real security expertise. There are a lot of security firms in the blockchain space, but few have the experience and track record of Trail of Bits. And they've been in business since 2012, long before things like the DAO hack were even imaginable. Trail of Bits works with your team to audit every aspect of your project. And smart contract code is just the beginning. They'll help you implement best practices around things like DevOps, key storage, and user-facing applications. And once your software has been rigorously tested and reviewed by Trail of Bits, they'll provide the tools you need to make sure that your code remains safe over every new commit. They can even put a software security expert at your team's disposal who'll give you advice and answer your questions when you need them. It's like having your own security engineer on staff. But don't take my word for it. Go to their publications repo on GitHub to read their papers, presentations, and security reviews. It's no wonder teams like Parity, Status, NewCipher, and organizations like Facebook and DARPA trust Trail of Bits for their security audits. To learn more, go to trailofbits.com, and if you decide to reach out, make sure you let them know you heard about them on Epicenter. We'd like to thank Trail of Bits for their support.
So, given that we can, it's pretty easy to mathematically model what the expected loss would be, is there no way we could design a fee mechanism to the market makers that ensures that it overcomes that loss, essentially, where to make sure that not having it be so constant, because that's another thing I see is that the fact that it's fixed at 0.3%, and right now there's no sort of way for anyone to change that. We had the DXDAO project on the show a couple months ago, and so they actually have this DAO that controls the governance of this DutchX exchange. And the reason that they're able to do this is that so that the DAO can modify parameters of the DutchX in order to make it, be competitive with market forces. And so, they could change the liquidity shares at the fee and whatnot. But if there's no DAO here in Uniswap to do this kind of stuff, how do we make sure that, Uniswap is able to remain competitive?
Yeah, there's a few options, and definitely dynamic fees is a open research topic that we're heavily looking into. There are all sorts of proposals, such as automating the fee based proportional to the slippage of the transaction. That's one example. So we're looking into it, and the other option is basically you could have a different contract for different fee levels, and liquidity providers could just kind of deposit their liquidity in the one that they think is most likely to be profitable, and you would assume that liquidity kind of accumulates in the one that has the highest fees. Part of the issue there is that you can sort of then you might split up your liquidity, which gives you worse rates for users. If if half the liquidity providers on a pair put them in one fee level and half put in another. So it is but it is something we're heavily looking into, and ideally governance DAOs are fun and all. We would love to have it fully automated in a way that can still be profitable. And that's something we're heavily looking into. And one option is also to have it proportional to volatility, because that is one of the sort of most important metrics for losses and for fees.
Right. So it seems that there's essentially three main from what I can tell, three main factors that we should be taking into account. One is volume, which is what it currently is doing. The other is spread, which is kind of what most market makers on order book based exchanges, that's where their primary profit comes from, is off of spread. And then the third is the volatility, and that's important to take into account because, like we said, based off of how the losses in Uniswap work, that is what mostly that's what we need to offset. So kind of dealing with those three aspects is kind of the main.
I mean, funny enough, it's been working. Like, you know, the 0.3% basically was a YOLO from a conversation with me and Vitalik about like what might be the most optimal fee, and it was kind of the way we chose it was basically to be competitive with other dexes, and sort of not having it too low, not having it too high. And it's actually working for a lot of markets, which is pretty cool. So the MKR pair, for example, has been fairly profitable. The DAI pair has been fairly profitable for liquidity providers, and it is working pretty well with the YOLO fee amount. And so now we're putting a lot more time. We have a lot more data to work with because this exchange has been running for a while. It's done close to $200 million in trading since November. There's $20 million locked up, and so we're able to look a little bit closer and maybe see how different fee levels would have performed, see how different types of dynamic fees might have performed, and kind of model it a little bit better. And it is very likely we're going to propose a version 2 of the protocol that adds in some new features. Version 1 of Uniswap is very good, but I don't think it's like the best it can be.
And then one more thing that might I'd be personally interested in a version 2 would be more complex bonding curves, right? Because currently I think X times Y equals K seems to be highly simplistic, and it's asymptotical on both ends. And is there any reason why it couldn't be some closer to flat, or even have constants in so it skews it somewhat? And so is that something that what is the benefit of that X times Y equals K? Is there some special properties about this equation that makes it useful?
Yeah. So the special property about the equation is that it always keeps a 50-50 value of both assets, and there are other equations that might work, but it also minimizes slippage, or at least that's what the sort of current belief is that we haven't found any other curves that would allow you to have if your curve moves kind of steeper in some places and more shallow in other places, then you're going to have more slippage on those places. And so in Uniswap, because it's kind of an even curve, no matter where you are in the market, you're going to have kind of the least slippage possible while maintaining a 50-50 value of each.
Now, one topic that we should bring up here briefly, which is, of course, always a topic for decentralized exchanges, is the topic of front-running. For example, like a miner can see, okay, you're putting in a big order, there's going to be some sort of slippage, and then they can try to exploit that in some way. Maybe they can reorder the transactions and put one of theirs in first, or, maybe do some other things. So is this front-running a concern? Have you seen any evidence of people actually doing front-running? And, what's kind of your thoughts in general on this?
There's definitely front running. If you go to, I believe it's frontrun.me, and I believe frontrun.me/revenue or profit, I forget which one it is. There you basically can see a list of all front running transactions on Ethereum. This is from Phil Dyan. It's some really interesting research. But yeah, so there's definitely front running, very active on all Ethereum dexes, and any Ethereum dex that says there's no front running, unlikely, except for maybe unless it has some sort of centralized component to it, which is preventing it. I guess AirSwap is fairly front-running resistant, and I guess DutchX is fairly front-running resistant. But so in Uniswap, the current parameters that are sort of preventing some level of front-running is there's a minimum slippage parameter that you can set when you make a trade. So you can basically say, I'm making my so the type of front-running that's really scary for users is, I'm selling 1 ETH. Then the front runner sees this transaction coming in. They put in a transaction ahead of it that pushes the price, gives me a worse rate, and so I make a trade at a worse rate, and then they trade back against my trade, and they take some profits. And the most baked in mechanism there's a few mechanisms. One is just the fees on the transactions. So so if you do a large trade in both directions on Uniswap that really pushes the rate a significant amount in a large liquidity pool, you might actually have to pay a pretty large fee to liquidity providers for that. But that's still you can still find trades where it's guaranteed profit for the front runner. So that's not really that big a mitigation. There's also but the min slippage value is basically, I'm selling 1 ETH and the current price is 200 DAI, and if I get any less than 199.7 DAI, I want the transaction to fail. And so, you don't know, someone can push the price ahead of you, but only up to the amount that you've allowed in your transaction. And so that's the main mitigation in Uniswap. The balance that you're trying to find is essentially, if you make it too tight, if you say even a 0.0001% slippage will make my transaction fail, then transactions could fail from normal trading volume, which you don't really want to happen. It's kind of bad UX to have all your transactions failing. So you want to make some allowance, but not so much that it's extremely profitable for front runners. Another sort of mitigation is these deadline parameters, which is basically, this transaction can only execute within this time frame. And so it prevents miners from holding transactions and executing them at a time where it's more profitable for the miner. It prevents them from holding them for too long. If you set it to 5 minutes, then the miner only has a 5-minute window where they can execute your trade at a better time for them and worse for you. Now, we're looking into some very cool stuff, which can help reduce front running or, to some extent, socialize it. It's kind of an interesting mechanism. We call it Trader DAO, but it doesn't need to be a DAO. Essentially, what it is a pool of liquidity that grants a specific party first arbitrage rights on Uniswap in exchange for rebating some of their arbitrage profits to the trader. It's kind of an interesting mechanism, but basically the way it works is I want to make a sell on Uniswap. So how like Kyber works, for example? Kyber basically it's unlike Uniswap, which automates the spread. They have market makers that are posting prices. And then they have a spread, so they have their own like price oracle stuff. Each reserve, on-chain reserve for a token, and then it creates a spread around that price. And so they'll always buy at one price, they'll always sell at one price. And so you could have a similar contract that sits in between traders and Uniswap contracts. And if I want to sell, let's say I want to sell $1 million on Uniswap, if I'm selling it into a pool which only has $2 million in it, I'm going to get 50% slippage on my transaction. That's pretty awful. And the person who profits off that 50% slippage is not the liquidity provider, as you might expect. The person who profits off that slippage is the first arbitrager to shift that rate to make the trade in the reverse direction, to shift that rate back to the real rate. They make all the profits from that, except for the 0.3% fee profit. And so instead, you could have a liquidity pool that maintains it, a sort of privately managed liquidity pool that's maintaining its own sort of price feed that has a large liquidity reserve in it. And then I want to make my trade on Uniswap. I say, I want to sell this $1 million on Uniswap. You can either do one of two things. You can forward this trade onto Uniswap, and it will execute like normal. You can't make the transaction fail. You can forward it to Uniswap, or you can execute this trade on Uniswap and then synchronously execute the arbitrage back. And then, if this shifts the rate 50%, you can shift the rate back from 50 to 45. And then I will get, I'll only have 5% slippage. And then the person who pushes the price back, the trader DAO, basically could take profits on shifting it the rest of the way. So the 5% to the 0%. And so that basically is an interesting way of giving better execution to users and reducing slippage for large trades. Does that kind of make sense?
I think that does make sense on a high level. Now, I would love to speak a little bit about decentralized exchanges in general. So, we've kind of talked about how Uniswap works, but what do you think are some of the unique things and like use cases where you think that, maybe decentralized exchanges or Uniswap in particular, they really have an advantage versus centralized exchanges? Yeah.
There are all sorts of problems with centralized exchanges. Mt. Gox, sure, but that's the one people point to. But you can look 2 weeks ago to Binance losing $50 million of Bitcoin, or so the biggest vulnerability, the biggest problem with centralized exchanges is probably security. But then they also, they can shut down your account. I used to have a Bittrex account, and they removed all trading in New York. They deactivated my account this week, so I can no longer use Bittrex. and I had to, if I didn't withdraw funds in time, then I would have lost them all. Never been able to withdraw. Another example is someone once sent me some ZRX tokens to they asked me for my Coinbase address to give me some ETH. And I didn't realize that they were sending me ZRX tokens, which you can send to an Ethereum address on Coinbase. But because I was in New York, I was actually not allowed to withdraw them. And so they're just permanently locked in Coinbase, the ZRX tokens, because I thought I was getting paid in ETH. Anyway, so that's like another example of centralized exchanges not being so great. So there's all sorts of security issues. There's all sorts of issues with censorship and things getting shut down. They're also charging really high fees, right? Coinbase, if I want to buy some ETH, it's like a 1% fee or something crazy, which I guess which Uniswap tries to lower to 0.3%. Yeah, were you mostly asking about decentralized versus centralized, or decentralized versus other decentralized?
Yeah, no, I think that was good. I mean, one of the things that I would encourage our listeners to watch. So there's this great talk by Arthur Hayes, and he's the I think CEO or one of the founders of this exchange called BitMEX. And BitMEX is, I think the largest volume kind of trading platform. It's also sort of a thing quite different from Binance, but gigantic volumes. And it's interesting because it's to talk about decentralized exchanges. And of course, he runs a centralized exchange. But then, he basically says, okay, what are the people kind of proposing that are building these centralized exchanges? And, do people actually care about it? And, he makes this argument that, okay, well, people care about, number one is liquidity. Number two is leverage. And those are the two most important things. And then he says, like, okay, three, ease of use. And then, security is sort of it's nice to have, but people don't care about it that much. And it was pretty interesting, because it kind of brings up the question, to what extent, are these things that we're kind of building out of this, idealism and maybe coming to crypto with this idea, okay, people should own their own assets and control their keys and stuff like that, versus things that people actually truly, demand and want and value.
Yeah. I think that's kind of BS. Not to insult Arthur Hayes, but I think that it's true to some extent. I think that there are things people care about and there are things people don't really care about. But if we don't care about decentralization and we don't care about censorship resistance and we don't care about being non-custodial, then why have blockchains? What are any of us doing here? Right? None of it matters if we don't care about these things. I also think that hand-waving security is a little bit weird. And I think that security is one of the biggest properties of decentralized exchanges that matter, right? Reducing, single points of failure. I agree that you can get a lot of volume in a centralized exchange. I think a lot of people who are speculating don't care. But I think that a lot of people who are building decentralized projects on Ethereum do care about decentralization. And I think that Uniswap's kind of success so far has been evidence of that. You can see sort of some examples to kind of continue some of the kind of benefits of I didn't really even get through my complaints on centralized exchanges. I just forgot some of them in the moment. Which is that, for example, token listing. If I want to list my token on an exchange, what do I have to do? I have to sometimes I have to pay $20,000. Sometimes I have to pay $50,000. I can't do it. And if you sort of envision a world with a lot of tokens that sort of are each filling different use cases, maybe you have personal tokens, maybe you have communal tokens. Not everyone wants to sort of pay the entry fee. And one thing you could do with Uniswap is basically anyone can create the exchange for their own token, and anyone can trade it, anyone can pool liquidity. And there have been some really cool examples of this in Uniswap so far. So the one cool one was, for example, the Reddit Karma donuts, where basically someone